Aimee Bender uses magical realism to talk about how we have our memories of the dead. I discuss this and more on today's episode. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I have found in my travels. Today it is Short Story Tuesday, and I have a bit of a very odd short story to talk about today. Today's short story is all about cake and missing stomachs. I am referring to Marzipan by Aimee Bender, which was published in 1998 in the short story collection The Girl in the Flammable Skirt. For those who don't know, Aimee Bender is a Jewish American writer who has been getting their work published for the past 20 plus years, 25, 27 or so. They usually utilize magical realism in talking about whatever it is that they're talking about. They've written a couple of short story collections, some longer novels, which I would be interested in reading after reading this short story. They also have done work in the UC system, which is where I work, the University of California. So a little bit of a tiny sliver of a connection there. But without further ado, let's talk about Marzipan. I will do a summary, a little bit of analysis, and we will move on from there. So Marzipan focuses on an unnamed narrator who is a young girl interacting with her family. And at the beginning of the story, she discovers that her father is missing his abdomen, missing his stomach. The parents find out, they send the kids to school, and then when they come back later that evening, they have dinner, and the father shows what has happened. And the child is like, how are you eating? I saw you eat. Where did the food go? And the family just looks like very morbid about it. Like, they don't really know what happened, but it's clearly going somewhere. And so they go and visit the doctor. The doctor is shocked, but they say that everything is normal. It's just that their organs have been squished to the sides because there's just that hole in the middle, but they're still like sides, and it all connects somehow. So there's nothing they can really do about it. As they're driving home, the mom throws up about the situation, but they go back to the doctor and they find out that the mom is actually pregnant. The mom or the daughters ask, do you want to keep it? The mom says yeah, in fact that she does. So 9 months go by and the father still has a hole in his stomach, which might be related to his dead father, because he's thinking about that quite a bit. And the mother is very unhappy that the father doesn't have to deal with the stomach or anything like that. So one day the mother goes into labor. They go to the hospital, and when the mom gives birth, she gives birth to an old lady, which is very strange. They eventually figure out that this old lady is her mother. The narrator's grandmother. Even though the grandmother died and they went to the funeral, this is now the grandmother. The mother gave birth to her own mother, which is very peculiar, to say the least. Everything seems to be normal. The doctor is alarmed by this, and the mother is kind of losing it a little bit, but they take the grandmother home, and now she's living with the family again. The mother and the narrator decide to eat some cake that's left over from the funeral, and they reminisce about the grandmother, who is still there with them. And then the narrator also spends some time with her father, talking about what his dad was like, since it's still on his mind. And as the story comes to a close, they have dinner. The entire family has dinner. They eat some of the grandmother's soup, which it causes the mother to be a little bit distant given everything that has been happening. They decide to have some leftover marzipan cake from the funeral, and as the narrator finds all this to be strange, so she excuses herself from the table, and that's where the story ends there. In terms of analysis, this is quite a strange story, but also very funny, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But one of the main themes that Bender is touching upon here is that of memories, or remembering the dead. Bender uses these medical anomalies in the story to highlight exactly like how remembering takes place, or how people can still kind of be on our mind. Because something is happening literally in this story, but it's also kind of figuratively happening too. Like we're meant to take this all as literal, but it's symbolizing something in the process. So Dad's missing stomach kind of relates to the fact that he hasn't gotten over his father, that his father died, and it's still weighing on his mind. Why exactly that's happening via the stomach, we'll never really know. But I guess it feels like there's a hole in the father because like his dad is dead. He's only partial now. But that doesn't seem to be happening to other people who lose their family in this world. So why it happens only to this father, isn't exactly explained. And then the mom gives birth to her own mother, which is pretty strange. But again, the mother went to the funeral, maybe kind of moved on, but also maybe didn't move on. And so her body is manifesting this pain, this grief, by having her give birth to her own mother, which is pretty bizarre, to say the least. But I would say, that's not the only place where where the grief is kind of present, where our memories are kind of present, because the mother is, the grandmother comes home still hanging around with the family, like her presence is still there. They're eating cake from the funeral. The mother, the narrator's mother in particular, is eating the cake, eating the soup, her kind of dwelling in these memories of her grandmother, not really willing to move on. Especially at the end of the scene, at the end of the short story where they're at the dinner and praying, we see that the mother hasn't really moved on. She's not really willing to eat the cake, maybe a sign that, there has to be a point where she's fully grieved and has come to terms with the death. It hasn't happened quite yet. And the unnamed narrator excuses themselves from the table. I think as a sign of how this grief can be disrupted towards the family. If you don't let go, it's going to kind of harm the family, because the father and the mother are sleeping in two separate places. The father on the couch, so things aren't really going well, and this grief is kind of casting a heavy toll on everyone involved. Bender also uses magical realism in this story. Very clear examples, of course, it's giving birth to your own mother is a pretty bizarre thing, and the doctor's not remarking that it's strange, but not really, it seems perfectly normal, or not seems perfectly normal, but everything is going how it should during a pregnancy. And then the father having the hole in the stomach, and that's kind of bizarre. Nobody should be able to survive that, but the father is. And they run tests, and they're like, yeah, your organs and your intestines have been squished to the side, but everything else works as intended. So very strange events happening in this story, again, as a way to sort of touch upon the sort of memories, to touch upon the process of grieving. And the last thing I'll note is the absurd humor in this story. I do think Bender does humor very well here. In particular, she's the children ask the father, how are you eating? We saw you eat at dinner, and the father's like, I don't really know. So they have to go to the hospital, and the doctors remark it as strange, but everything seems to be normal. I think that's pretty funny, and the act of giving birth to your own mother is bizarre. How the doctors react there is pretty funny as well. And then there's other sort of just this sort of act of giving birth to your own mother is, I wasn't expecting that to come from this story, so I think it's pretty hilarious. And I think Bender helps make this story memorable by all the bizarre, quite weird elements that she infuses into the story. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Marzipan by Aimee Bender, a high-quality short story that really just like it kind of amplifies the absurdity of the entire process of grieving, and I think Aimee Bender does a really good job of kind of just going gonzo with the story. Like, sure, this sounds weird, but you know, I'm gonna do it anyway. So, pretty excellent. I do think it kind of ends at a pretty too quickly. Like, it doesn't. The ending kind of leaves a lot to be desired. So, I think she could have done better there. But it is an overall good short story. I highly recommend you seek out this, short story as well as the overall collection, The Girl in the Flammable Skirt, as it's definitely worth reading. But yeah, other than that, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you just want to say something about my review here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about Aimee Bender or this short story if they don't already know. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and missing stomach-based travels. Farewell.